Welcome to this daily guided meditation practice. This is the Attentive Mind. My name is Nathan, and I'll be guiding you through this meditation practice today. Okay. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. And it's very simple, very clear, kind of pointing out. And for some, this will make sense. This will be clear. And for some, it might be confusing. But what's nice is that you can't get this wrong. So if you are facing the screen right now, if you're looking at the screen and you see me, maybe turn to the left or the right and look at a wall. Turn to just kind of face your nearest wall or maybe past the screen, wherever you're looking at. And I want you to take your finger, your pointer finger, and point at the wall. So right now I'm pointing at the wall behind the camera. And just keep pointing at it with your finger. And you notice the wall. That is a thing. It's opaque. It's solid. There it is. Now go ahead and move your finger and point down towards the floor. I know this may feel silly, but it's just point at the floor here. And there's the floor. Notice how it's opaque, solid, a thing. Right here. Now, begin to take your finger and point towards the bottom half of your body. Maybe for me, it's my foot. Maybe for you, it's your leg. That's a thing. Foot. And notice too that it's opaque, it's solid. It's not cloudy or invisible. And keep moving up to maybe your thighs, pointing. There's a thing there. And moving your finger, pointing at your belly. It's right there. Up to your solar plexus, the trunk of your body. Maybe to your chest. And really pay attention from experience alone and not from ideas. In other words, almost approach what we're doing here like a baby, completely using experience to look. So now you're pointing at your chest. Now go ahead and point to the place where your eyes are, where you have been told your eyes are. So now you should be looking at this finger. Can you see what it's pointing to? Notice how we're looking at this. Before, there were objects and things, but is this finger now pointing at an object? Is there a thing here that it's pointing at? Now go ahead and start again. Point down towards the floor. There. A solid object. Something noticeable. And then again, you can point to the body in any place, maybe the lower belly. There it is. Going up, we notice our arms, the limbs dangling, objects, and then pointing to the eyes, which can't be seen, the me, which isn't there. It's really that simple. Now you can let go of pointing, and maybe with your gaze downwards, continue to notice this no thing where your eyes are supposed to be. And the moment you start talking about it, judging it, saying how this is ridiculous or this makes so much sense or whatever, that is not it. That's thinking. From which this place notices those thoughts. And of course, this place is free from what happens. Not only is it a no thing, notice there's no boundaries. And this no thing is the space for which everything else exists from the first person point of view. Empty, free, and clear. Now, what I just attempted to show you was one of the first, what they call pointing out instructions of a man named Douglas Harding, who has his way of sharing this no-selfness that I always try to talk about, and his way of trying to convey the simplicity and the immediacy of this no-self experience is, of course, what he calls the headless way. And so he was a writer back in the 60s, but he developed a whole methodology, his own purely original methodology of looking at this selfless nature of experience, this kind of centerless thing that is so important and which is uh, kind of the point of practice, I'll say. And I know I've said there's no point to practice, there are no results. Yes, there's a layered cake here, by the way. I know some of you have told me that, well, you say there's no self, but you keep reaffirming an I, or just understand that there's a layered cake. So there's ways of talking that, for purposes of communication, I'll keep reaffirming the I, and I'll keep reaffirming, and I'll keep saying things like there is a purpose to meditation, but ultimately there isn't. So just a little caveat there. But he would show us, or he would show his students so easily that there's just nothing there immediately upon looking. And if you were with us yesterday, we did the same thing. What am I? We turned the view back, and as my teacher would go, thinking can't go there. There's no, and it's not like this long, oh, now I get it. It's just an immediate, oh. And when you use your finger to point, there's an object, there's an object, there's an object, there's an object, there's an object. What's this? No object can be seen. Now your brain, if you're an intelligent or a inquisitive kind of person, you'll say, well, yeah, clearly, because there's clearly something there. I just can't see it because those are my eyes, right? Yes. But you notice you have to think about that for that conclusion. And practice isn't about reality as it is. I made that point a few days ago. It's not that we can discover things about the universe, the nature of, that's really scientist's job, not a meditator's job. You can't discover physics because of practice. And so when I say things like, there is no head there, that's a fact about your first person point of view. Even when you look in the mirror and you see a head, what's looking at that head? There's no place, there's nothing there. It's that simple. Now, yes, you can talk about that. You can take pictures and we have to think about it. You see, it's conceptual in the end. But from a baby's perspective, from no knowledge, zero, only experience, there's no head, there's no eyes. And from that no thingness is the space from which everything else is, is experienced. Now, I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but I have to reiterate, this is not a suggestion about the way things are indeed in the world. I'm not saying that there are no heads in the universe, or that everything is one, everything is separate, you are infinite space. No. Those are scientific claims. I'm not making a claim about science. I'm not making a claim about the way things are. I'm making an observation about experience alone, just our experience. And the reason this is important is because within our experience, we tend to place a person behind the face. And that ultimately is thinking. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that your experience of a self is made up by thoughts. It's constructed, it's a construct of thinking. And so when Douglas Harding asks us to simply point to the place we feel to be, it's so simple, there's no object. And if you agree or disagree, that's a thinking thing. But you can't deny from experience, when you're pointing here, there's nothing being pointed at. From experience. And if you just remain as that, you notice that everything that happens is at the same time you and not you. You're at once free from it, but also you include everything. It's a lot like a TV screen. A TV screen, you can turn it on, you can turn it off, but no fire that's burning on the screen, no murderers and all the stories that are happening, the dragons, the elves, the bombs, all happening, the screen is unfazed. It's just there to hold it. And when the TV turns off, boom, the screen remains. When the TV turns on, boom, the screen remains. Regardless of what's happening, there it is. And that's the same thing with what we can call awareness, which isn't a very good word. But this no findingness, that is the screen. And of course, a teacher's job is to go up to the screen and tap on it. Look here. Anyway, I just thought I'd try something a little different today, since to me, it's everything that I'm trying to do. It's all about pointing at the same thing from 1,000 different directions. And sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't. So if you find yourself disagreeing or not liking it, just realize that I'm just trying to point from 1,000 directions. We're trying to find what works for you and what works for me. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for your attention. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow.